Can anybody hear me? I scared people. Hi. Nice to see. I say hello and I suddenly get flooded with like 120 people saying hi. Yes, hello. Welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever else it may be for you. Yeah, you can try and pretend that I didn't scare you, but yes, welcome. Hello everyone, hi. It's nice to be back here again, isn't it just? Hi Mad, hi Weeby, hi Pixelated, hi Squiggles, hi Ninja, hi everyone. I'll be wasting a lot of time if I try and do it all by name only, but thank you, I recognise a lot of names. So, it's gonna be good. Hello, nice to see you all. I'm gonna give you a warning now, the chat is going by incredibly quickly, so if I do miss something someone says, please forgive me, I'll check up and catch up as best I can, but I'm only a person. I can only process so much. Hello. Hello. In terms of the day I'm having, it's been quite chill, honestly. Mostly I've been kind of prepping for this. There's a lot of stuff I've had to arrange to make this work. You'll see what I mean, hopefully. But, yeah. Hi, Dom. Hello, Jesus. I'm glad you could make it. It's really good. Thank you very much, Tree. If there is a slow mode, I don't know how to do it on YouTube. Honestly, I don't do live streams very often, so whatever. But while we're here, I might as well switch this because the stream has technically started now. That we will switch to our main window, where you can see some of all the fantastic, wonderful fan art that people have been making based on stuff that I've done. These are all wonderful pieces by equally amazing, wonderful people. Scrolling along the bottom of the screen, you will see credits for every single artist who's drawn every picture you're seeing on screen, including links to their Twitter pages, their actual names. If you want to search them, please go support them. Please share their work for them. I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do without their talents, so please go give them love, give them nice things. Yeah, it's still kind of amazing how so many people have just been inspired by my little audio experiments, so thank you. And also thank you for 150 of you showing up on what is technically a Saturday evening or Saturday night. I know it's not ideal, but I was originally going to do the stream yesterday, as I did announce, but then literally about maybe an hour or so after I announced I was doing it at that time, Honeycast said they were then doing their charity stream at the exact same time, and I thought, nah, I don't want to be conflicting with that because I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, so I just pushed it back a day. But thank you all for showing up regardless. It's nice. I appreciate it. It's currently about 7 minutes past 10 in the afternoon where I am. Afternoon? Evening. See, it's been so long that I can't speak properly. But thank you for being here regardless. Yes, X-Ray, it's yours. Yeah, no, seriously, any artist that you see here, please go check out their followers. I didn't put any of their names in order because there's just too many of them, and I was having to put a bunch on there of them in at once because there's been so many over the last couple of months since I did the last stream. But please go and follow all of them and support all of their work because it's just that good. I'm glad you think so. Dead inside. Please don't actually be dead inside. That would not be great. Sanji, if you want to do fan art to me, then there's an email that's on my YouTube channel page that you can send it directly to, or just via Twitter. I appreciate every single one that anyone ever makes, either of the wonderful little bot boy that Dom designed for me, or anything inspired by the songs or anything else I've done. Because it's been pretty grand, I'm not gonna lie. Right, so let's get to the business of this evening. Mostly this is just going to be similar to the previous streams, where we're just going to be chatting. Ask me questions about stuff, I'll answer as best I can about how I work, opinions on things. Obviously, no, like, stupid, dumb topics regarding to the horrible reality of the world, because we're not here for that. And then later on, I'm going to be showing my next music project. I'm going to temper expectations now. It's not going to be a brand new song. I have more in the works, but I'm not just going to suddenly drop one of those on you in the middle of a live stream, because that's not how I would like to do things. But it is a bit of a project that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks, and I really hope people like it, because it's very much suited to things that I enjoy in music. It suits things that I enjoy to create in music. And I just hope that people will like it as well. So we'll see, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. So yeah, if you wanna ask me something, if you wanna go for it, then please ask away. I've already got tons coming in already. Let me have a look here. What's my favourite song that I've made so far? I can't pick favourites in terms of the individual ones I've done. I mean, I've liked all of the covers I've done. In terms of original work, like, you know, they're my creations. They're not, like, based on someone else's music, so I've got pride in all of them. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Eyes on Me, but that's just because it was my first one. And it got so much traction for something that I never expected I would ever get for original music. I mean, right now it's sitting at 750,000 hits. And if you told me a year ago that I would ever have, like, a piece of original music that would have that sort of attention from people, I wouldn't have believed you. So thank you again for all of that. What's my favourite Bayonetta quote? Oh, you can't ask me that, Sesh. I'll never be able to give an answer for that. There's too many. If I had to pick one, I guess it's probably the one where she's talking to Fortitudo. If I was your child, I'd be an awfully ugly witch, wouldn't I? Kiss Sam, would you consider collabs or collabing with someone? If so, who do you have in mind, if you don't mind me asking? I like the idea of doing collabs with a lot of people, in terms of, like, an actual project. I mean, technically, from the announcement I made earlier when I've been saying I'm the sound designer on the Zim project, A Very Tall Problem, that's been a massive collaborative effort with people. In terms of stuff that I've done, I mean, I'm open to suggestions, but the problem is that time zones and such make it difficult for communication and stuff like that, but I wouldn't turn down the possibility. I couldn't name someone specific I'd want to. My British accent is on point. I mean, I should hope so. I am from there. Will there be a Velvet song now that Vital and Vox have their own? If I could sound like a girl, maybe. Otherwise, no. Sorry. Do I plan on making a Spotify playlist with your songs? Pokegirl, yes. I have been researching into how to get the original songs onto Spotify, but it's not quite as simple as just shoving your music up there. Spotify insists that you have to use a licensing company, as in work through an external company that will make sure that your songs are on as many platforms as possible and you pay them money to do it. The problem is that I don't know the best way to go around doing that, because there's so many companies that offer that service. So I am working on it. I just need to navigate and research just to make sure I'm doing it correctly, because I don't want to do it wrong. Still no plans on a Discord server. I would not be able to manage my own server, I'm sorry. I have a hard enough time keeping track of the few servers that I'm in already. I couldn't keep track of my own and run that. But it's nice the demand's there. Which song, original or cover, was the most fun to work on? I think in terms of the most enjoyable one, I think Get Hooked was probably more fun, just because I had to basically voice the entire crowd. So in the background, when you hear like the crowd jeering, like every single voice is me, just like panned and altered and done all these things. Vox is in that crowd as well. It's just really hard to hear him, but he is in there. Do you plan to do any songs with Fizzaroli? If I have a good enough idea for one, I'd like to. It's just a matter of, with Fizz, we don't really know much about him. So... I mean, usually, when I've made these songs, I've based it off what we've known of the characters. So the whole Vox thing was based off mostly what we saw on the Instagrams. Especially in regards to that one where he essentially got his... face smashed in, which was the whole reason for the scene near the end. Valentino's been shown enough kind of material that I could make good efforts as to how he would act in regards to that, and Stolas, well, I essentially predicted episode 7 by accident with Stolas, so... Are there other things besides Hell of a Boss and Helva that you want to do? Well, yeah, there's always ideas of things that I want to do. It's just a matter of what would be more enjoyable. I mean, I've dabbled into series like Alien and Dead by Daylight and horror-related stuff because horror is like a really big favorite genre of mine. But if anything else comes along that would pique my interest, like I've got a lot of interests in terms of gaming series and fictional series and stuff that would be fun. It's just a matter of finding the right idea that would work, I think. Have I thought about doing another Vox song? I don't know. I think I kind of said all I wanted to with Eyes on Me, because it kind of fits all we know. I couldn't really do more than that because we don't really know much else about Vox at the moment. How does it feel being noticed by Vivzy enjoying your original stores? Yeah, that is probably the most surreal thing that I've dealt with this year. Like, you know, I'm usually attempting to be quite humble about this sort of thing when, you know, and I'm like, oh, maybe someone will notice it, or maybe this will get some attention. But I never make these with the intent of getting widespread, like, acclaim or billions of view counts or anything else like that, because then I'm not making the content for the right reasons. So I'm making a lot of these things because I want to, and just glad that people like them at the same time. So then when I got notifications through that Vivzy Pop herself had not only liked the Stolas song, but had also then shared it publicly and then also commented on the fact that she thought it was really good. That was pretty great. It kind of made me feel like, nah, you're good at this. When, you know, the creator of a universe that has inspired me so much over the last 2 years to do everything that I've done actually likes what you do, it's a nice feeling. So, yeah, it was good. Are you still having a bunch of issues with people re-uploading your content? All the time. That's basically what YouTube is most of the time. There's just people who take your stuff and re-upload them. Even after I made my statements on it, I came across tons more that have been there for months, and you know, and onwards and stuff, and there's not really much you can do about it except just stay vigilant and try and politely ask them to stop doing it. I don't like the fact that they do it, but everyone suffers from that problem. I mean, the number of re-uploads I've seen of just, like, individual trailers for things on people's own channels just to get attention from stuff completely unrelated is just mind-blowing. So that's just a problem with YouTube itself. A new original song by Alistair? Question mark? I do want to do an Alistair song. I just need to think of what it could be. I always like to do a story or a little bit with the characters involved, because I find it's more enjoyable than just a straight up song on its own, at least online. With has been hell of a being shows that have their music so heavily based in musicals where the songs are part of a scene or they're part of something related to a story. I like to frame what I do around that sort of thing, which is why I include it. I know not everyone likes that, mostly because so many of the re-uploaders like to cut out those bits specifically so they can listen to the music, but I do them because I like it, so... How do you think your has-been music process will change when the show finally comes out? Will you alter the voices you've developed, for example, Valentino, when the official voices are known? I mean, probably. If I'm going to try and stay as accurate to the source material as possible, I would change things to match that. Because, you know, it's the original source material. If I don't stick to that, then I'm not doing a good job of representing those characters. Planning on another voice request number 2? Maybe. I mean, I kind of went a little bit past that when I was doing the commissions and stuff, which I do plan to open again in sort of the near future. It's just that it's a lot of work in conjunction with everything I've been doing on AVTP and personal projects and stuff, so it's a matter of finding the right time to do it. Are you cool with covering or remixing your songs? Oh yeah, if you want to remix them, or you want to... cover them, then by all means. I can't give you any original material because that would just be ripe for uploaders, and I know that's not the intent of people who would ask me for stuff like that, but I can never be too careful with how people were so quick to steal the full things. But if you want to ever do covers or make your own versions of the songs when you create stuff from scratch, please do so. Weeby Bean is doing just fine. She shed yesterday, so I'm just kind of leaving her alone for now. She's grumpy. How did you find your Valentino voice? The Valentino voice was a happy accident, and also through further research after the fact that I created it. It was something that I realised that other series have done to create that buzzing effect for different intents on other characters. I was just kind of fortunate. It was like, oh, that's how they did that. That will sound nice for him, so I tried it. Also, thank you, Aesthetic. I do try my best, as do you with your amazing artwork, so thank you very much. How would you feel if Viv asked you to be the voice of Val or Vox in the original show? Well, apart from the fact that it's impossible and isn't going to happen, it will be an honor. I would be overjoyed if I was ever asked to do that. Who is my favorite character? It used to be like a handful, but now the more that I've explored the potential for some others, then that's kind of split into like maybe like 4 or 5 different favorites in general in that universe. If you're talking about in general for everything ever, Bayonetta. Of course, Aesthetic, because they're really good, so I'm glad to feature them. Any chance of a Serpentius song in the future? That's a good idea, actually. I never considered that before. That would be a good idea. Do you ever plan on releasing the vocals and instrumentals from your songs? Earlier, as I said, probably not, at least not for a very long time. We all know that, as I said, with the internet being as it is, that it would be too much of a sort of, I'm taking this sort of effort and re-uploading it on its own. I just like having full control over what I release and what people are able to get access to. Like, the original reason that I took such a massive break from YouTube in the first place was because people were taking my stuff and re-uploading it to, you know, steal it and get attention from it. So... Aesthetic, yes, I have considered doing a Husk song, but Husk is so hard to sing as. Like, even in just the sober video, that took me so long to get right, because doing that growl for that long, especially when my voice doesn't normally go as low as his does, is, it's very difficult. But if it's a good enough thing I can think of, then I would like to do it as well. Sleepy DJ is Husk, basically. Yeah, I can only voice Husk after I've just woken up, because my voice gets all gravelly and sort of... I can't do that normally, so... A duet song. That's a good idea as well, actually. It's a matter of choosing the characters for the duet, though. But I have ideas. I always have ideas, and then it's just a matter of, like, sitting down and making them, which is, can be quite difficult. Do you have any voice acting advice? Well, I know for a fact I'm not a professional voice actor by any means. I'm not part of a union. I don't really do auditions for things. Most of my VA experience has been in conjunction, at least with ETP, providing some voices for them and also doing stuff here. If you mean in terms of the physical aspect of doing it, it is just a case of practicing. Finding voices that you like or the sound of or want to, you know, impersonate. Listen to source material, always reference back to it, and just keep practicing. Your voice is a muscle just like anything else, and it can be trained. Would you be down to collab with Silverhound? My only interaction with Silverhound has been... he commented on a remix I did of Addict, like, back in July of 2020 or something. I'm pretty sure that the chances of that happening would be very slim, and I don't really know what such a collaboration would be on, but, you know, he's a very talented musician, and he's got like a billion other things he's doing, so... Can you talk a bit about your coming project? Well, I'll be talking about it later, and showing an example of it. Because, you know, this is celebrating 70k, and I'm glad that we got to that point, so it's going to be partially related to that. But, who is my favourite Sonic character? I have fallen out a little bit with Sonic over the last couple of years. If I had to choose one, I'd probably say Shadow, because I remember he was like one of the first cool ones back when I was a lot younger. I was like, oh my god. But, would you ever make your own has-been comic or something? I'm not an artist, so probably not. I would easily do a sound dub of one if someone else wanted to make one, which I did technically basically all I've done up until this point. But, yeah. Would you do a Vox and Val song with them both singing together? Again, another idea for a duet. There was a time long ago where I was thinking of doing a follow-up to the Valentino cover. That was another song where those two were singing together, but I never got around to it. Any upcoming games you're excited for? Bayonetta 3. 2022, we finally got a year release date. It is coming out next year. I have waited for years. I can wait a little bit longer. That's the only thing I care about. And also Resident Evil Village DLC, but who knows what they're doing with that. How did you imagine Lucifer's voice? Really just any sort of royal attitude. When I look at Lucifer, or whenever I'm thinking of a voice for a character that doesn't technically have one, I always think, right, if I was to imagine how this person would talk based on how they physically look, what vibe do I get from them? And from Lucifer, I got a sense of very well spoken, not very high pitched because he's not very big, enunciates his words very clearly, and sort of has a very sort of, ah yes, attitude to things he does, so... Do you still like Has Been Hotel? all the stuff I've made for it has been for that, so yes I do. Yes I do. Yes, I did see Raphael's latest animatic. It's very, very good. You know the funny thing about that is that I didn't know that they were originally making that animatic until after I'd announced that, oh, I'm doing the Valentino song as a cover. And at the time, this was before I had Twitter, someone else pointed out to me that they then made some tweets saying, like, oh, this is a really big coincidence, but they were really cryptic about it. And at the time that they said it, I think it was because they may have seen the announcement that, oh, I'm doing the song. But I didn't know that they'd made the original version of that animatic until after I'd made that announcement. And then obviously I didn't see it until they released the finished thing just recently. But yeah, it's very, very good. And it shows, because obviously they worked on Addicts, so, you know, they're quite good at the whole storyboarding thing. Thank you, Apathetic. It's very nice of you to say that. I'm glad people still enjoy what I'm doing after all this time. Hello, Melissa. You're just in time. Well, we're just chatting, so, you know, you're not really missing that much. Did any of your songs leave you with throat problems? Husks. Easily husks. And anything involving husk hurts if you do it too much. Because I can't do it normally. How long does it take to make a video? Well, that depends on the type of video. If it's a comic, the source material's already there. And how long it takes depends on how complex the comic actually is in terms of what needs sound, what doesn't, what needs processing, what needs acting. There's some ones that I'm partially waiting on getting finished by other artists that I would like to do, and they're probably going to take a little bit of time because it will not so much involve sound design, but a lot of acting that's going to require a lot of energy, shall we say. But if I really focus on something, I can absolutely do full videos and full dubs of stuff in maybe a day or two. If I really focus, I can get very, very deeply sort of focused on getting something done in that aspect. So how you so inspired all the time, like you're so active for real. There's a lot to be inspired by. I mean, all these ideas that people come up with in terms of artwork and interpreting these characters while we're all waiting patiently, like, some of it is really well thought out, it's really fun to read and imagine and enjoy it, and, like, some of the fan work that people come up with in terms of maybe this could happen, and it fits with what we know, so it's like, yeah, I could actually see that being true. Like, that inspires me to then sort of feed back into it. Like, you know, I see a comic or a piece of artwork where I think, you know, oh, how would this sound if that character was actually saying these words or doing this action? And that makes me think, well, I know how to do that, so I'm going to do that. And I always like that. Do you like Dark Souls games? Blue Echo, I have tried to play some of the Souls games and not gotten very far. The best one out of all the ones From's made has been Sekiro, though. I really like Sekiro. It's the only one of theirs I've ever beaten because it was that good. Which character would you like to see an official comic made for them? There was going to be a sort of precursor comic with Vaggie and Charlie at some point, and that was before Faustus left the project. I would have liked to see that, but I'm pretty sure that's not happening now. Have you heard of Las Briar's Angel Dust? I'm aware of who they are. They do a good job. I think that they're the person who does, like, the ASMR stuff, I think, right? Yeah, they do really good work. Who is your favourite Hell of a Boss character? Moxie. It's not even a contest, it's just Moxie. How do you go about writing lyrics? Lyric writing is something I never really attempted seriously until I made Eyes on Me. Most of the time, when I've written these songs, I've come up with the music first and then done the lyrics afterwards. So And then it's just a matter of thinking, well, I want to tell this story with this song, so what lyrics can I include that make sense, that will tell that story? It's not my strongest aspect, it's the thing that takes me the longest out of all of it. But, do you consider your song Look My Way canon after the latest episode? I was proud to be kind of temporarily psychic, because it was the direction I was really hoping that they would go for with those characters, and I'm so glad that they did. But it was a little eerie. I was like, hang on, I called this like about a week in advance. What's going on? Which voice is the easiest that you can do? Angel's is the easiest for me, because it's closest in terms of natural speech to how I talk normally. So most of the time it is just putting on the accent, more often than not. If you were to make a server on Discord, what would you name it? I mean, I don't know, because I don't really plan to make a server, so I don't know what I'd call it. Do I study the psychology of the characters before creating lyrics? We know so little about them. I go off what we have. Like, Vox's was basically based entirely off what we saw in Alistair's comic, where he's obviously got a massive control of technology and selling things to people. And then what we saw on the Instagrams when they were still live, when he was, you know, obviously at Val's mercy a little bit, despite the fact that he had a little bit of sort of, I fight back sometimes. So, have I ever tried to make Moxie's voice? I've tried and it's horrible. The thing with Moxie is that unless you sound like Richard Horvitz, you can't do it. Because that just is his voice, so... Once I can impersonate him, then I can do Moxie, but I've tried and it's not good, and I'm not going to do it here. Hello, Disney. Thank you for joining us. And Weeby, thank you for being here. No, Seal. If I was working with Vivzy Pop, then I wouldn't have been able to say anything anyway. You know, NDAs and stuff. But no, there was no communication between us whatsoever. I was just as surprised that she shared it as the rest of you were. Do you think you'll do more Hell of a Boss character songs? I'd like to do more. It's just a matter of what characters do you do, because most of the other characters besides Imp themselves and Stolas, they're just kind of one-offs. At least so far, apart from brief references, so I don't know what you'd do. Am I going to do a Cherry Bomb song? Just like with Velvet, I can't sound like a girl, so probably not. I get the feeling we're going to see more Striker. I'd hope so, at least before the season's over, because it would be a real shame if he just showed up for that one episode and then never again. It would just be a little weird. What do you think of the last episode other than predicting it? I thought it was good overall. In all honesty, I felt the musical number went on a little bit too long, but that was just because they needed it to, because it was such a central point of the thing. The rest of it was great. And I found it was a much more welcome return to what I was hoping for the series after the ending of episode 6. Alistair Angel song for the fandom. You'd be surprised. How many people have asked me to do that? Who's my favourite cherub? I might get fired for this. I didn't like the cherubs episode. I just didn't. It was well made. It had some funny moments, but it just wasn't that great to me. That's all. If you had to make me pick one, I probably would say Colin, but. What's my favourite Has-Been Hotel Hell of a Boss character dynamic? Well, Has-Been's difficult to say because we've got so little to work on. In Helliver, I really enjoyed most of episode 5 just because it was Blitz and Moxie kind of understanding each other a bit more. And at the end, you know, they called each other by their proper names and they were nice about it. I liked that a lot. A lot. Has been, it's almost impossible to say. We've got so little to go on. Who's the hardest character for you to act or voice edit afterwards? Husk. Every single time. Anything that requires, like, a very low, growly voice is something I cannot do very easily. Husk can only be done at certain times of the day, and he's the worst. Val's not so bad, because most of the time you just kind of get in that sort of smooth slide in his voice. So, it's not growly as such, but, yeah, and anything like that is really difficult. Do you get criticism for your voices? I get some people saying that they don't like them, and I get some people saying that, you know, I don't sound like it, and that's fine, they can think that. There's some voices I know that I'm definitely not accurate on, but it's all a learning process, so I don't care. If people want to say that I'm bad, then they can think that. We can't all like the same stuff. The slide. Yeah, I am trying not to do a lot of voice requests this time, primarily because the last couple of times I've done this, my throat has been run ragged the next day because of the amount of talking I've done. Like, I have water and everything, but... You're bloody fantastic. Thank you, Wyatt. I'm glad people... I mean, honestly, like, all of this is just a chance to talk to all of you lot and thank you, because I do that too much. I like talk incessantly and thank continuously for how amazing it's been to have gotten to this point of attention and detail from people who enjoy what I've created, and, you know, I just want to, thank you all for that. And thank you, Christina, for stopping by as a regular to some of my premieres. The smooth slide, baby. The only problem with that is that it loses something if I don't have the buzz on it. Which I've not found out a way to do live yet, so... Why, you're being too kind, thank you so much. Absolutely, Disney. It's so I've met so many great people in this community because of some of the stuff I've done, like some that I would happily call my friends now, and I'm just very thankful for that opportunity. Who knew that hell could make you friends? How do you feel knowing your inspiration? That bit always kind of floors me. I see people make, you know, all the fan art I've got on screen right now made because of stuff that I've done. It's like, that's so bizarre to me. Just the idea that something I created in what I do has prompted such a reaction that's inspired other people to do stuff themselves. Like, that's great, and I'm very, very happy. Do you know anyone else besides them that does voices? I mean, there's loads of other channels out there that do really good voices for these characters. You know, some of the Happy Hotel Dubs people do it, the Slice of Hell people do it, there's the Fanworks people who are a handful of those do some really good voices. I can't name them all personally, but there's tons of channels out there that do some good work, so... Yeah, you know, like, even just with, because I just saw Dom mentioning Motifa, Axel and his series, you know, making, like, an entire radio drama about this stuff. You know, there's so many people out there who do such good work in the area of sound design that absolutely deserve more attention than they get. And also all the attention they get on top of that. I try my best, Ma, and thank you for supplying such brilliant artwork for Get Hooked, by the way, if anyone wants to go check them out. They did like handled so many alterations and alternate versions so I could have the story scenes progress. So please go support them. Are there any projects you're looking forward to that are or aren't has-been or Helver related? There's some original music stuff I'd like to do now that I know that there is an audience for it that wouldn't be related in character songs. It's just a matter of, you know, I've wanted to release more actual original music for a long time now. I just never thought that anyone would pay attention, but now maybe people will. How do you go about doing Val's voice? I won't say specifically what it is because I've been asked this before, but it does involve something called monophonic time stretching. It's a technique that people have used before, and if you do it to the extreme that I do, it creates that audio artifact which you don't usually want when you're doing it to voices. I've just done it in a certain way that then creates that effect, and I thought, ah, that works. When official voices are released for Valvox, will you mimic the VAs or keep your own? I'll mimic them. I mean, you know, if I'm trying to do all these things to try and be respectful to the source material and emulate as close as possible, I can't keep doing whatever version I'm doing if the real one is that different. So yeah, if when that comes out, I will have to alter them. It'd be nice if I didn't have to alter them much, though. Have you seen the Alistair cover of Welcome to the Internet? I did! I think it's quite well done, although I just wasn't sure why they chose Alistair when it would work so much better for Vox, but it's very well made. I mean, great artwork from Hunter on it, and well produced, so yeah, it's good. Will there be more projects like your Alien project? Pandup, I would like to. I was hoping to maybe do the next part of the Alien comic. It's just that was a lot of effort to put together. That's all. What is the favourite line you've said? Oh, that's difficult. I've already done so many. I couldn't name one. There's 2 years worth of material I'd have to sift back through to find out on that aspect. Have you been noticed by Viv publicly? Yes, I was. She liked and shared and said some very kind words about the original Stolas song just before episode 7 came out. And I was flawed, and I was very humbled and very happy about that. So yeah, she has noticed. Senpai noticed me! Hello, Belle. Who is your favourite character to voice? Vampire, that depends on the context. Val's always fun because he's a sleazebag. I really in terms of, like, character acting, I really like doing Alistair a lot, just because he's so smarmy and sort of smug with himself. It's just really fun. It's just like, ha ha! So... but then with Alistair, you also have the chance to go, like, sort of quite sinister with what you're doing. So there's one that I've kind of been working on in the background, which the art for it hasn't been finished yet, but it's a comic that I've been following for a long time, waiting for it to get done. And there's such a good bit where he's just sort of offhandedly dismissing something, and then he just goes like, however, I didn't tell you to help Angel. It's just fun. Have you thought about doing an original song for Legoshi from Beastars? I've never watched Beastars, so probably not. It seems fun, I've just never seen it. Can someone submit art to be considered for new videos, or do you contact artists yourself? In terms of commissioning art for the songs, I've reached out to the artists myself and sorted something out with them. For actual other videos, it's basically... That's the comment. Tomcat, please do not spam. I've explained a couple of times before now that the songs are currently not on Spotify, but I am working on trying to get them up there. It's just difficult. There's a lot of legal jargon you have to jump through using licensing companies to get your music on streaming services, and it's quite difficult. So, I appreciate the enthusiasm, though a lot of people have been asking for it, so it's fine. Be civil, people. Be civil and nice. We don't want to be causing a problem. We're just here to chill. Thank you. How did I discover Has-Been Helliver? I was shown the pilot about a month after it came out by Dragonscale. Probably my longest and oldest friend. And the one who generously provided the voices of Charlie and Vaggie in the very first comic dub I ever did for Has-Been. She sent me the link, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is my new obsession, because it's so cool. How have I never heard about this before? And the rest is history. Oh, thank you, Ninja. Thank you for showing up. Also, a fantastic artist. Please go support them and their comic and everything that they're doing. They deserve it. Please. Thank you. Did I make any lore for the robot character? No. Dom was so kind and so amazing to design the robot character for me in general to start with. Initially, I've only seen him as basically just my persona online, so there isn't really like separate lores, though he's a separate character, but who knows? Well, Wyatt, I hope they're at least like pleasant tears. I don't want to make anyone super upset. Thank you. Thank you, Abara. I hope the rest of the year goes well, and same for any of all of you. Top 3 Has-Been Hotel characters. I think if I had to choose 3 out of absolutely every single one. Angel, Vox, and Alistair. Although you could technically tie Vox and Val together in terms of favoritism, but if I had to pick 3, I'd choose those. I mean, Vox is just kind of like, he's an object head. I like that aesthetic a lot, and he's just got a lot of potential, so he kind of is a little bit better than Val to me. And yes, Matt, I was really worried how doing La Vie en Rose was going to sound, because I don't speak French. I had to listen to the original recordings a lot to try and get the pronunciation right, and I was convinced I was going to mess up some of it, but I'm glad it came across well. You know, Belle, it's funny. Loads of people have said that my version of Val does sound like what people think Springtrap sounds like. I can kind of see it. Like, I haven't really been interested in Five Nights at Freddy's since, like, the first 3 games came out, but I appreciate them for what they were at the time. I used to like them a lot. And I've heard that before, so... Any Has-Been predictions when it comes to Angel Dust? In terms of how he's going to react as a character, I just want to make sure that he doesn't lose the fact that he is someone who thrives on chaos and isn't helpless. I want them to remember that he isn't. I've been guilty before of thinking and of portraying that he's, like, more of a victim than he actually is yet. He obviously holds his own in the pilot and other things. I just don't want them to forget that completely, that's all. But apart from that, it could be anything. They could do what they want. And thank you, Matt. Yeah, I will admit, when I was learning French when I was still in high school, it was not my favourite subject for a reason. So, and that was just because I found it hard. So I'm glad that it came across well. And thank you, Aesthetic. Alistair's comic was the first big challenge I had doing sound design for anything. It was the most ambitious thing I ever did at the time. Like, every individual scene was its own subject. There were tons of voices and Foley and all sorts of stuff to get right, and that's really difficult to do in a comic that mostly has no dialogue, so you have to portray everything through just the sound design. But people liked it, and I'm glad they did. Did you watch the animatic Raphael did? Yes, I did. It's incredible. Please go check it out. What's your favorite Sonic game? Honestly, the one I'm probably the most attached to, because it was one of the first, is probably Shadow's game, and yet everyone hates that one. So I don't know. What do you think about the animatics people did for the songs? I think they're all brilliant people, and I'm flawed that they wasted so much of their time making that. No, in all seriousness, they work so hard on any of the animatics I've seen, like the Valentino one by Love's Art, the 2 different ones for 911 by Blue Echo and Ninja. Like, they've all been incredible, and even the really old Do What You Want one by Sister Stories, like, seeing that much effort put into something that I've done has just, it's very nice, and it's very sort of rewarding that, you know, people have enjoyed that enough to dedicate so much of their time and creative energy into it. So, will this live stream be a video? Yeah, it'll be live to view back when it's all over. YouTube does it automatically, I believe. Can I do Angel Dust Killing Me Softly? I mean, I always can do that. Whether I will or not is another matter, but you never know. What's your favourite has-been character that we haven't seen yet? I don't know. I haven't seen them. they are names and a visual design only. I can't really say. I mean, just because of the potential, because of their connection to Angel, probably Arachnis. And that's also helped because, you know, with Axel's series and some of the other interpretations people have done of him has kind of made me a bit biased towards that. But again, I don't know anything about these characters, so I can't say. Have I ever checked if I made a cameo in episode 7? I haven't, and I really doubt that I would. From my understanding of how that stuff works, they'd probably need to ask just if it was okay. And no one's asked me. I mean, if someone spots the robot in there, then I'll be flawed, and you'll have better eyes than I do. But I doubt that's gonna happen. And yes, Tamira, I try and keep track of every single piece of fan art or anything I get seen. I always make notes of remembering the artist names and their stuff so then I can praise them properly. Because, you know, I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for their efforts, so it would be very ignorant of me if I didn't pay attention to that. Will I ever sing in Ozzy's voice? I've never tried to speak in Ozzy's voice. And to be honest, I don't think I could really come close to his actual voice because it's just that good. But you never know. The favourite cover that I've done? I really liked doing the Insane one. And that was because it was like the first burst of energy I needed in the wake of my surgery to get back into being creative, and also because it wasn't a straight cover. Every other cover I've done besides that has been attempting to emulate the original instrumental as closely as possible. For this one, I made something completely new for it, you know, the jazz sort of influence for it. And that was actually a big inspiration, saying, well, if I can do that, I can make original music too. I don't have to just stick to doing covers. And then Eyes on Me came out not long after. What's your favourite Pixar movie? I've seen a lot of Pixar movies. I think the one I probably have the best memory of is Toy Story 2. I like Toy Story 2 a lot. Thank you, Emerald Wolf. What made you decide to start working in the music and entertainment world? I've always been interested in music from a very young age. Even since when I was in school, I used to constantly get told off when I was in primary school, like really, really little. I used to get told off a lot for constantly drumming on tables in rhythms and stuff. And then when I got to secondary school and I started learning music as its own separate subject, then that was like, oh, I can make this. I learned about electronic software. I bought my first album and it just kind of spiraled from there. Are you happy with what you've created? I am. Looking back on the very old stuff, you can see where there's room for improvement compared to what I do now. But it's a nice sort of idea of, oh, I used to be at that stage and now I'm here. So Merry Christmas. Thank you! Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates it, even if it's all freezing and blarg. Why do you like Valentino? Because he's a villain, and everyone loves the villains. There's just something about him, besides his visual design being really fun, it's also just because of the fact that everything we've seen of him so far has just uncompromisingly portrayed him as a dickhead. And he is, and he's a really nasty character and does nasty things, but he doesn't show any remorse for it. There's no sort of sympathetic side to him, and I think that makes him quite a good contrast to other characters such as like Alistair and Vox, where they're obviously bad people, but they're not nasty about it. They just do bad things. Also, hi Carlos. Any ideas for another Alistair song? I want to do an original Alistair one at some point. It's just a matter of finding the right idea and making the thing. Can't say when, but maybe. Maybe, eventually. Which comic was the most emotionally charged to voice? Out of the ones that I've done, in terms of actual comics, I think it was part 2 of Rescuings and Revelations, because it required a lot of crying and shouting. I could do better than what I did back then, because there's moments in there where I shout and I obviously peak the microphone because I wasn't paying attention, but yeah. There's also like another one that I look forward to doing in a similar vein. Eventually. Mothman, yeah, I said this before. If the voices they have are radically different compared to how I do them, then yes, I'm going to change them. I want to be as accurate to the canon material as possible, and if they choose something different to what I have decided on for my versions, then I will alter them. Any ships that I like. I've spoken about this before in previous streams. I don't usually delve into shipping culture too heavily. Mostly because past experience in other fan bases has caused a lot of turbulence between people. I do have pairings I like. I do have ones that I think are nice and work within the context of what we know. Mostly, whenever I like stuff like that, it usually has to be framed in a way of, this makes sense within the context of the universe and what these characters would actually act like. So there's some that I really like, there's some that I don't, but I'm not like one of those people who's just like, oh, I can't stand this one. It's like, everyone likes what they like, you know? I just don't make those preferences, like, blatant public knowledge, because I know that most of the time stuff like that causes arguments, and I don't want to deal with that. I mean, I get it enough. Like, I have occasional videos that delve into, like, 1 or 2 of these different pairings, and I always inevitably have, like, a handful of people saying, like, I don't like this, but this was okay. And it's like, well, if you don't like it, why are you watching it? You know? My favorite Disney villain. Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. She's just great. Really, really big, stupid monkey named Kronk. Thank you, Ninja. Yeah, I always like doing those little acting bits in between the songs, just because, again, Has-Been and Helliver are a musical series, so having them framed within a story moment and have those songs reflect that seems to make more sense to me, rather than just doing a straight song. It's the same reason why even when I was doing the cover of, you know, even doing covers of other songs like Do What You Want or Montero or Change the Order, like, all that stuff was still framed in a story because I felt it made more sense for the type of universe that it is. Did I also think Angel was a girl at first? No, I did not, because he is voiced by a guy, and it was very clearly a guy. So no. I did actually, admittedly, before I knew what Has-Been was, I had actually seen really, really old artwork of Angel before, like, Has-Been was even a thing. And I knew from that he was supposed to be a guy, so... And that was when he had, like, the really much more, like, you know, Tim Burton-esque spindly, creepy design. The amount of hate on Val drives me at the wall. Did you see much on Get Hooked? I didn't, actually. I mean, I occasionally get people saying, like, oh, you make me love to hate him, and I think that's kind of the point, because he is a hateful character. But I didn't get any people saying just, like, you know, they were outright hating him just in general. Lucifer Mania is my favorite Disney villain. Yeah. He would be, actually. What was going through my head when I had to moan for that one segment? It was a case of, well, this song originally is already incredibly sexual in nature, so you just have to do it. So, I wasn't bothered, it's part of the job. If you have to do it as part of acting, then it doesn't really concern me. We should all be grown-ups at this point. These are adult shows and adult universes. Making a sound based on that isn't really a problem. What urged you to voice so many angel-centric comics? Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of angel-centric comics out there. So that's why there is a lot of them. Thoughts on Stellar and Striker? I could see it being a good parallel to Stolas and Blitz, and also like a heavy dose of irony, but yeah. Can you do a cover of Thriller by Michael Jackson? I mean, I could, but as who? Sauce answered Pixar movie earlier, it's Toy Story 2. Thoughts on Fact Nuggets? He is an adorable little nugget, and I wish him the best in everything he does. Which probably isn't much apart from just sitting there and looking cute like a lump. Which character do you like the least in Hell of a Boss? I mean, if we're excluding all the one-offs that just kind of showed up and then never appeared again, like, you know, the old men and the cherubs and everything else like that, if I had to choose a main character I like the least, I'd probably have to say Luna. Like, she's fine for what she is, but she doesn't really do much. At least not compared to the other three. Like, if she had, like, her own proper focused episode, I'd like her a lot more. Do I think Verosa Kamede is evil? She's a succubus. So, yes. How would you even do a cover for Fat Nuggets? It'd probably just be nothing of, like... It'd be just like a nursery rhyme with loads of snorting instead of actual words. Do I think that Vox will be more sympathetic or more of an outright villain? I'm hoping that he's more sympathetic. I don't want them to make him like a pure victim, because he's got a lot of power, he's got a lot of influence from what we've seen in Alistair's comic, and his ownership of all these different things. But he has such a good potential as a character who, you know, as nasty as he is and as powerful as he is, he's still under someone else's boot. And that's, like, such a dynamic in a lot of media that I've not really seen before. Like, I'd really like them to go down that angle and explore that, if they do it. So it's a combination of both. Will you do a Spotify account, add your music to it? I am working on it. It's just taking time. There's a lot of holes I have to jump through. Do you think a showdown between Alistair and Vox could happen on the show? It's inevitable. It's old versus new. They've already been said they're probably going to be rivals, so it's probably going to happen at some point. Do you like the song Insane? Yes, so much I made my own version of it. Dog or cat person? Dog, but only certain types of dog. I'm not a fan of all dogs, but just like very specific breeds. Cats are fine though. I'm not like one of those people who's like one or the other, like ew. Out of all the episodes, which is your favourite for Helliver? Probably episode 5. Just because everything it did was wonderful. It had fantastic animation. It had some genuinely good humour that wasn't just puerile. It had serious dramatic moments that they didn't actually shy away from or play off for comedic relief. And they set up an overarching plot. Like, they did so many things right in that episode. Who would you say is the most aesthetically pleasing? I'm biased towards Vox. Again, I like characters that have that sort of object head, faceless aesthetic. So probably him the most. Do you think Vox and Ninja could find common ground based on their relationship? I would like it to be a factor. Not like an outright alliance, but maybe something like they just have more of an understanding because they kind of know what it's like. Have you thought about doing any song covers as Moxie? I would if I could voice Moxie, and I can't. So, unless I really practice at it, it's probably not happening. Oh yeah, for anyone's asking, this is all a collection right now of royalty-free music. Because every single time I've had one of these streams before and tried to play songs that I like from my personal collection, like old Silent Hill tracks and stuff, YouTube has said no. So this was a collection of royalty-free stuff that's currently available on Humble Bundle that I've put together just so we had some sort of background element, so it's not just my voice. Do you have a Blitz plush? I don't. I have plushes for the Has-Been and Helliver ones in particular. I have ones of Angel, Alistair, Fat Nuggets, Husk, Stolas, and Moxie. But then besides that, I've also got tons of other plushes from loads of other things because I've had some from my childhood. I've had some that I bought recently. I've got like a little Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. I have a bunch of them from Hollow Knight. I have Toothless. I have some Disney ones. I have stuff from Bendy and the Ink Machine. Just a ton. A ton. Favorite musical? I don't really have one. I'm not much of a musical follower. I like occasional songs from particular musicals, but I don't really watch them or see them, so... I'm gonna skip forward. This one's a bit, like, heavy for what... Yeah, I'm skipping to a different track after, and that one was a bit heavier than I thought. Are you going to do any more comic dubs about other characters if they come out? Yes, if there is a really good one, and there are some that I'm keeping an eye on and waiting for them to be finished before I can do it. Because I prefer having the full thing completed, so I'm not doing it in parts, but yes. She said your accent reminds her of Philza Minecraft. I don't know who that is, but it doesn't offend me, so it's all good. Oh yes, Mystic Tulip! Yes! I'm very glad that you liked it. It was a really good comic, and I really hope it ends up being canon, because it's just too perfect. Thank you. Yeah, please go check them out. They did the Pimp Lord Moth comic that I did not so long ago, and it's very, very good. Thank you. Yes, Hypertarantula, I have seen it. It's incredibly well made, and everyone should go see it right now. Where am I from? I am from the north of England, particularly a major city called Leeds. Do I have a favourite horror franchise? Silent Hill, without a doubt, but only the original 4 games. Anything else made after that has been kind of trash. Have you read any of Jonan Vasquez's comics? I haven't, but I have been meaning to. There's a lot of stuff I've been meaning to do for a long time, and I just don't because I'm stupid. Will you make a Sonic comic dub? If there's a good one. Avid tea drinker, I do hope. I don't drink tea that much. I know it's a blasphemy against people who are doing, against the English, but... Have I thought about doing an original Angel song? I mean, I could, but Addict's kind of the king. Like, how are you supposed to compete with that when it's actually it's technically canonical at this point? I feel like it'd be redundant. Doing songs on other characters that haven't had that treatment is more interesting to me because there's more variety in what angle you could go down. Would you like to see Villainous? I've seen so many good things about Villainous in terms of visual design, but I've never watched it. And I should. What made you choose your channel name? Paranoid DJ as a name came about when I first started making music when I was in my, like, mid-teens. And at the time, I was a very avid DDR player, and there was a series of songs on there called Paranoia that are spelt the way that I spell paranoid, so it was just basically kind of referencing that, and then it just stuck. They're great songs, by the way. They're all bops, as they would say. Have you considered doing voice casting for characters who haven't been shown yet, like Luz for Valentino and Vox? I have, and I do them. All of them. Have you ever traveled out of state? Most of the time when I've ever visited places, I've gone abroad to the US. And just bear with me 1 minute, I'm going to... Just going to lower the bitrate a little bit so it's easy for people to watch. That should fix that. Yeah, I've traveled abroad to America most of the time. I've gone to multiple different states over the years. So I guess that counts as out of state, maybe? Favorite character that I've done? I really liked discovering what I wanted to do for Vox's voice. Because, you know, people... I've seen other interpretations of Vox that have worked well. In my opinion, I wanted to do something that didn't obscure his natural speech too much. There's a fine line whenever you're doing, like, electronic voice processing where you can easily go overboard and it muffles the original voice behind it, and it's really hard to tell. So I wanted to do it where it was obviously affecting the quality of how he spoke, but it wasn't covering him up and sounding like super robotic. And obviously the Valentina one was just, that was a happy accident that I'm glad people seem to really like. Thank you, Abara. I like Vox a lot, especially more so given the song. Have you visited other countries in Europe? I've been to Belgium and France before, but otherwise, no. How did I do RoboFizz's voice? Well, really, it's paying attention to what they did for his voice, and some of that actually did kind of transfer over to the Vox voice later on, because there's like a little bit of skipping in there. There's a little bit of bit crushing that makes his voice sound more robotic than it is. But other times it's just a case of making your voice go like, you know, that with acting, and if I'd actually warmed up properly. Will ever love you. So as long as you do that, then the processing that comes after it just does it for you. Have you ever played the Evil Within games? I have. Evil Within 2 is really underrated. It's so much better than the first one. What character from Hello Boss do you wish you could do voices for songs or comics, but you physically can't because their voice is too hard? I really wish I could do Moxie. He's my favourite character in Helliver, and I just cannot come close to impersonating him, so I'm not even going to try. But it would be really nice if I could, but it would require so much effort. Do you have any voice actors you look up to? There's a lot. James Arnold Taylor, back from the days of Ratchet and Clank. Jennifer Hale, Helena Taylor, now, as of recently, Maggie Robertson. Obviously, everyone who's worked on Helliver and has been. Yearly Wenthal, you know, the big ones who just are really good at what they do. All of those. Have you ever seen Squid Games? I haven't, but people have talked about it so much that I already know everything that happens in it, so I don't need to. Which is a shame. Have I seen Midsommar? What did I think? Yes, it's very good. I don't think it's as strong as Hereditary, but it's delightfully disturbing. As it should be for a horror movie. Kind of sounds like Fizzaroli. Yeah, that was the intention. I haven't tried to voice him in a while. I thought that sounded not brilliant, but what can you do? Have I read a Goosebumps book? Goosebumps book, sorry. I used to have one of those choose your own adventure ones. It was like a pink cover and it had a sea monster on the front. I remember that, but otherwise no. Do any of the characters irritate you? Not really irritate me. There's no character that ooh, I can't stand them. Like, I don't feel like the way about any other character. I just have, like, certain characters where it's like, I can point out, faults about they could also do this a bit better or do this a bit better. And especially a lot of the times when I'm making those points, especially about anything to do in Has-Been or whatever, like, we don't know anything really about them, so most of the time it just comes down to personal preference. PDJ, I don't have a favourite. Compliments Vox 20 times. Look, I said I had a top 3. He is one of them. You can't call me out on that. Have I heard Vox's song My Game? I haven't. I have listened to a lot of different fan music, though, like, from multiple different people, and some of them are just so sadly underrated. They need more attention. Yeah. I got called out. Oh my god, PDJ's a simp for the TV head. I'm not. He's just cool, that's all. Right, well, I think because we've been technically live almost an hour and a half, I think it's time that I spoke about the music project, which I am kind of nervous to talk about because it's quite a lot to mention and explain, but I'm hoping that people will enjoy it. So, what I've been doing since I finished Get Hooked, and also because of reaching all these different milestones, what I've been doing has been something of an EP. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of musical lingo, an EP is essentially, think of it like an album, but not really an album. It's kind of like a release that has a couple of tracks on it, so it's not long enough to be an album, but you can't class it as a single. Electronic music releases EPs a lot, and they usually have like original music on there and then remixed versions and stuff like that. And that's essentially what I've been doing. Now, if I just pause this music for now. What I've been doing, which you may have noticed from the background of this stream, has been something interesting like this, is that I have taken all 3 of the original songs I've done, and I have put them together into the Rework EP. Essentially, it is a mini collection of Eyes on Me, Just Look My Way, and Get Hooked, all on one little thing, but I have completely originally remixed and reworked them into completely different genres of music, that give them a fresh take on everything that they are. And so, you know, for Vox, I've completely changed them into a genre that really inspired me when I first started making music in general, tech dance, something pioneered by one of my favorite producers, Yoji Biomechanica. Just Look My Way has gotten an extensive sort of slow groove, deep techno sort of vibe that I think really works like a lot of ambience. And Get Hooked has been given the, what I've dubbed an untidy house treatment by one of my favorite record labels, Tidy Tracks. They've been basically making a lot of deep sort of funky house things. And so, without further ado, I'm going to play you a sample of all three of these songs together. And I'm kind of nervous as to what you're going to think, because they are quite radical, but I'm hoping that you will enjoy this little sample of all of them either way, so enjoy. If it plays, please. I don't need tech difficulties right now. Come on, please! There we go. Right.
For the simple, base pleasures of forgotten life, where every want or need leaves a record and a price. And so inside my kingdom of bits and bytes, the data flows in like a million lights, and I know what they're willing to sacrifice. I can corrupt, manipulate, control what you see. I am the instigator of your bullshit technology. I know your vices and desires, but won't fix them for free. No apprehension, pay attention, keep your eyes on me. Step right up, come on in, feel the buzz in your veins. I'm like a chemical, electrical, right into your brain. And I'm the one who killed the radio, soon you'll all see. So pay up, motherfuckers, you belong to me. Something more real before. Get your name up in lights, what you waiting for? Come to me on your knees, show me what you can do. Give me everything you have, I'll make a star out of you. Cause it's all the same to me, and out of heaven or hell, I'm gonna do just what I want until I hear that bell. So come and play, baby, and get out of your shell. With my hands on your hips and my taste on your lips, I'll get you hooked.
So yeah, that was that is the taste of the rework EP. Drastically different to what I did before, but I really liked having the chance to change all these into sort of something that was completely, you know, so different to what the original sound like, and also to show off my taste in music and everything. And I am also very pleased to announce that as of me pressing a button 2 seconds ago, you can get it now. It is currently on my Bandcamp page. It's the same price as the full stuff for Eyes on Me. And I wanted to make this EP just to thank everyone for supporting me so much and to getting me to a milestone like this and continuing to share my original music. It really has meant a lot that I've ever gotten to a point where stuff that I make like this would get the traction that it has, and, you know, you're awesome. So I basically made a party mini EP for you all to say thanks. The Bandcamp link that you can find in the description, it will take you straight to the page there. You can stream it on Bandcamp and listen to the full, the full-length DJ mixes as long as you like. Or you can buy them if you want to support me out. It's very much appreciated, and I'm very glad that I've been able to get to a point where I can release my own stuff like this and get this sort of traction. So, thank you before I turn to a million pieces of a broken record like I have been doing for such a long time. Thank you very much. God, it's so mad. It's like, even just like listening to people just say it's a banger when just like playing these samples of these drastically different things from the originals, it's just, I'm very happy, and I'm so pleased that, God, I'm just repeating myself because I'm just babbling at this point, but thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy these reworks and everything and continue to enjoy what I put out in the future, because it really has meant the world, and I'm very glad and grateful and all those wonderful words, so thank you all so much. Thank you. No, I'll make another announcement about it on Twitter just to ensure that people say, because, you know, I'm shilling my work here at this point where it's like, buy my stuff, but no, every single time I get a notification someone's got one, it is such a nice, rewarding feeling to have, so thank you all. Just don't feel obligated. I know that it is just music at the end of the day, but it really is always appreciated, so thank you so much. Yeah, I would have prepared like an actual trailer, but I thought, well, you can't really make a trailer for something you're supposed to listen to, so I'll just play it, and then I'll surprise them all by saying it's up live now, so Oh god, people have already got it already. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Aboro. Thank you. Thank you for all these opinions and all these nice things. You know, it's funny, I was thinking back recently, like, having looked at all the stuff that I've done and seeing, like, all these artists that I was making stuff for and thinking, oh, they're such cool people. I know I know some of you personally, and it's just, it's good. I'm glad I'm part of this community, and, by all means, like, don't feel obligated. It's just there. It's there if you want them, and you can still listen to them for free on Bandcamp itself if you just want to do that, and that's still just as appreciated, so thank you. God, if I'd been genuinely told that I would be, by the way, I'm releasing like an actual rework EP and people like it of something that I did originally, like I just didn't think that would happen. So, and again, in terms of the artwork and everything, Am a Ninja and Ma the Dino, please go support them because they did fantastic work on the visuals for this, giving me the original artwork and letting me basically corrupt it to make this cover. But you know, like their work on these songs really was amazing, and they deserve just as much praise for that. I'm alright now, Karma. I feel pretty good about stuff, given what's just happened, so I'm pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I guess in a way I have corrupted and controlled what you've seen, given how this is literally my stream, so yeah, that's true. Do I have any hobbies outside of music? Avid video game player. Music's kind of what I'm best at, so that's mostly, and sound is mostly what I do most of the time, so take our support, you I am. It's just still really flattering because it's really nice of you and kind. Well, seriously, thank you all so much. So yeah, with the EP now kind of out, it's there for you to have a go at if you wish. You know, it's just been very good. So kind of running out of things to say at this point. Are there meanings to the flower changes in Look My Way? Yes, there is. Through what I discussed with Ninja, the original language of flowers was that the change is supposed to signify specifically unrequited love, which was the whole ending point of the song. So, any big projects coming in 2022 we should be excited about? I mean, there's still more comic dubs in the way. I haven't stopped doing that. I still also want to do original music. It's just now I'm taking a lot more time to make them and wait and be patient, so I can't say when they're going to happen. But, you know, I would like to have more. Maybe if I'm lucky I can have something out before the end of the year again after this, but who knows, it's a busy time of year. And yeah, Ninja, I was going to say, I'll probably go for like maybe another 20 minutes, just because it'll be like 2 full hours of streaming, given how that's over now. But yeah, another 20 minutes or so. So if you have questions and if you want to know stuff, then ask away while you can. didn't think you were a bean like this. Well, it's funny you mentioned Bean, because she has just stuck her head out of her hide to say what's going on. Wondering why I'm making so much noise. Fat Nugget's original song.
He's the cutest little fat nuggets. No.
She is a leopard gecko seal. She's very nice. Yeah, she has just finished shedding, so I'm not going to bother her too much, but I will give her a few bugs for being a good sport, putting up with me. Here's a question. Are we allowed to call you Daddy? I mean, it would be a bit weird, considering I don't personally know a lot of you, but hey, whatever floats your boat, man. When did you get Bean? How old is she? I got her about 4 years ago now. And she's about as old as that. I got her when she was a little baby. And she's now big. But she'll still fit in the palm of your hand quite comfortably. Oh god, don't mention Daddy DJ, for fuck's sake. You know that song actually irritates me if anyone's ever actually heard Daddy DJ as a song, because basically Bass Hunter ripped it off. And it was blatantly a rip-off and no one realised it, and I used to get so irritated by that. Look, in all seriousness, please don't go overboard with that. But I appreciate the joke. Mr. DJ, how else can we support you aside from streaming and purchasing your songs? I do have a Ko-Fi page if you want to be generous enough to do that. Anything anyone donates and that stuff always gets recycled back into new sound equipment and libraries, stuff that I always use anyway, and it's always massively appreciated. Again, I don't try and make a big deal out of pushing this sort of stuff because it feels like I'm just doing marketing, even though I did just basically say, buy my music. But, anything people do like that is support. Even just watching my stuff and basically saying how, if you like it, you know. What games do you like the most? Are you a DVD fan, a Pokemon fan? I am a DVD fan. Very much so. I've been playing that since launch. I'm very much a horror fan as well. A lot of games I like are horror-based. But if I had to pick an absolute favourite ones, it would be either of the Bayonetta games. And I screamed when they finally showed off 3 after like 4 years of silence, so... Hello, Anonymous Fish. I'm doing pretty good right now. Even if I'm just kind of wrapping up at the moment. What's my favourite horror movie? Now that is a tricky question. If I had to pick one definitely, I would probably say Alien, just because it has everything. But it's so closely tied with a lot of other things that it's really difficult to say. Yes, Ninja, poor Spirit. But Spirit and Plague both got the short end of the stick in every regard. So did the artist recently too, actually. Mr. DJ, this question's been around for a while, but do you ever feel so in character when acting or making songs? How everything is put together, it feels like a real scene. I mean, I try and get in the headspace of what I'm trying to put across, if that's what you mean, because if you don't do a good job acting it, then it doesn't really matter how good you can sing or write something. If you don't act it properly, then it doesn't really matter what you can do after that. General rule of recording I learned back when I was getting my degree in production was you can do as much studio magic as you like afterwards, but if you don't nail the recording, you're not going to have a good end product. Alright, thank you, Azura. Thank you so much for showing up and consistently spreading the word on a lot of stuff that I've that I've shared out. It truly does mean a lot. What do you think about Arcane? I've not seen it, but everyone keeps saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. That's all I can say. Can you do any accents for your dubs? I was wondering if you would ever do Alistair with a Cajun accent. I've never tried. And frankly, I would need to make sure I do it properly before I ever put it to recording so I don't accidentally insult anybody. But do you ever get emotional when acting certain scenes because of that? Recording Just Look My Way was like that, because during the middle of recording that, some like bad stuff happened regarding my family and stuff, so I was already in that sort of miserable headspace for a bit when recording it, but other times no. I can separate the acting from my actual emotional state, so... Thank you, Potato. And thank you, Sister Stories, with their fantastic Do What You Want animatic. Please go check that out as well. And you too, as Wyatt, thank you. Are there any video game fan comics you want to dub? I did do a Resident Evil one just recently, where I was the Duke, Mr. Winters. And I did do a Silent Hill re-sound project a couple of... last year, actually, I think, now. Oh yeah, I'm fine now. This happened a while ago, that's fine, but I appreciate the concern. Thank you. Favorite horror game? Any of the original 4 Silent Hills, with Alien Isolation as a close second. Will you be doing Christmas songs as Angel Dust and Alistair? You know, I've been tempted to do a Christmas themed thing, but I don't know what I'd do, and I would be cutting it close because it's not long until Christmas actually. So, thank you for being here, Karma. Any thoughts on the Sonic movie 2? Actually, kind of good. Like, I was not expecting the first Sonic movie to be as enjoyable as it was, and the second one was just like, oh no, they're focusing on that aspect of it. I'm like, that's fine. And yes, Silent Hill 3 is the best. Who was the first character you attempted to voice for? Well, I've been doing, like, kind of impressions of people for most of my, like, young life. In terms of doing actual stuff that people have heard, the very first attempt was trying to do a Bendy comic, and that was, like, years before I had my massive break from YouTube, and then I came back with Has Been afterwards.
So hurry down the chimney tonight.
There you go. Favorite genre of music? It mostly is going to be in the electronic range, but there's like subgenres and like you can split hairs really finely between it, so I can't really give a definite answer on that front. Thoughts on the Silent Hill movie, not counting the second one, because that was awful. Yeah, the second one was stinky. The first one, if you do it on visuals and atmosphere alone, it's very good. In every other aspect, it gets the story completely wrong. So I'm not a fan. Not really. I like that, Ninja.
Baby, it's cold outside.
No, I really can't. I don't want to stay. Have you seen the new Resident Evil movie? No, and by all accounts, I probably should be glad that I haven't. Because it kind of sucks. Thank you for being here, Melissa. Yes, Ninja, there was a second one that tried to copy the story of Silent Hill 3, and it was really bad. It wasn't good. How do you come up with scenes in your song covers and originals? They just kind of come up. Like when I was in the middle of writing the lyrics, I'm thinking, what would fit what I'm trying to say here? And then I think about the general events of the scene I want, and then wrote the dialogue afterwards. So. Do you have any achievement that you felt most proud of accomplishing this year, DJ? Well, tonight was a good one. I think, though, it's probably... in terms of the overall year, it's going to have to be a tie between having Eyes on Me out there and then Vivzipop herself noticing what I've done. Both because Eyes on Me is the first originally, like, lyrically written song I've ever done. Like, I've done plenty of original instrumental work before, but I've never actually tried to write a song like that before. And then the amount of attention and, like, praise that it got was something I couldn't have ever imagined or expected I would ever get, so I'm really grateful for that. And then, obviously, the creator of this silly universe actually noticing what I've done and saying, guys, this is great. I'm like, oh, thanks. You know, it's just high praise, so I'm gonna like that too. Stos and Angel do a collab someday. Yeah, never say never, but... Oh yeah, the dialogue for those things to me are stuff that I always do the last... Like, for Eyes on Me, I wrote the entire song out. And then remembering how they did it with Addict, where they had the reprise, I was thinking, I could do a reprise to this. And then I was thinking, well, how do I bridge a hardstyle song into, like, quite an emotional reprise? I'm like, Val shows up. And then you go from there. So, what inspired you to make the music? Originally it was because of just seeing other people do it. I mean, Addict was a big inspiration for obvious reasons because of how well that seemed to work. And also just because it kind of fits. Like, the universe itself is musical in nature, so having songs to fit that seemed just like the next logical thing, because I was doing music before I did sound design. So, thanks for being here, Buttons. Do you think you'd ever cover the Alistair song made by the Living Tombstone? I mean, probably not. The Living Tombstone is just kind of like their own thing, and it's been so long that it would seem a bit redundant to do it now. Will you ever do non-band-based song original songs or an EP? That's what I'd like to do eventually. I just have to make the music for it. But yes, I would like to do that someday. I used to be a Doctor Who fan, but I haven't been for a long time. I've not liked what what direction they've put the show in recently. Have you heard Silverhound's original Vox song? Yes, I have. It's very well produced, very well made. But that's to be expected from his work. What do you think about the last Hell of a Boss episode? Good, because I seem to psychically predict it, so... it was the direction I was hoping that, it was the direction I was hoping they would go with those characters, so I was happy with the episode. Also, don't worry about it, Haxel. A few people thought apparently I was covering a Bo Burnham song when I said I was doing Eyes on Me. Sometimes song names and stuff just matches, it's fine. Any thoughts on Velvet? I like to think that she would be like a good sort of contrast to how serious Val and Vox seem to be, but I genuinely don't know. I need to see more of her in like actual information, and when the Instagrams were live, it was obvious that certain characters were getting a lot more attention than others, so Velvet didn't really get much for me to judge her on. What's your favourite Hell of a Boss song? It's probably going to be a toss-up between the one that was in episode 6 or 7. The names escape me, but the one between Blitz and Moxie was fun, and obviously the Aussie song, but Can you do more French, Alistair? Also, who was Alistair was talking to when he said you would know this song more than most? That was left up to audience interpretation. You can think about whoever it is you imagine, it can be them. And also, I don't know about French, Alistair. I don't speak French as a language. The song was an exception because it was an original song that I could imitate, but I don't know. Any thoughts on the last Has Been Hotel episode? Shocking. It was a terrible season finale. They ended it and nothing really got done. They just changed some sign on the front and that was it. How do you say hello in robot noises? Beep boop. Take care, Cersei. Thanks for showing up. What else do I do other than making music? I play games and I work, really. What made you get into sound design? That stemmed from a module I was doing when I was at university. We had modules on sound for video, and we were given a piece of video that had no sound in it whatsoever, and we had to basically add every bit of sound to it. So all the Foley, all the voices, all the movements, all everything. And I did really well in that module, and I found it really fun. So I decided, when I decided to do the Angel comic initially, I was like, I could bring some of that knowledge to this and make it a bit different rather than just doing voices, and it seemed to have worked. Sauron, if you want to have my music as a background music, go for it. In the big scheme of things, I am a small fish in the YouTube pond, so I don't think you get struck for copyright. Thank you, Vampire. I'm glad you were here. Yeah, about another couple more minutes, guys. So if you've got any burning questions, please say them now or hold your silence until whenever I do this again. Thanks, J-Rox. Do I like Star Wars? I liked the original few Star Wars. I've not been a fan of what they've been doing recently, though. Ravenstar, I got into it when Dragon Scale showed me the pilot about a month after it aired. And the rest is history. No, Mind Turtle, mayonnaise is not an instrument. My thoughts on Alistair is that... Oh, there's a lot of thoughts on Alistair. I think he's got the potential to be one of the most interesting characters on the show because of that contrast that he has. Just this idea that he's supposedly this awful, monstrous thing that tears up anything in his path, and then he comes off and he's just a giant goof. Like, like what's that about? He's got a lot of potential for intrigue, I think. See you later in robot noises. Boop, boop, boop. Ever played any American McGee's Alice games? I have, and they're both wonderful. Especially Madness Returns, I really like that one. Would you be interested in watching gameplays of the latest Five Nights at Freddy's? I'll be mildly curious. Are you still a fan of Has Been Hotel despite us not having a lot of content at the moment? I am. I wouldn't be doing any of this if I wasn't. No, Nuggets, I've not been checking Twitter, but I'm sure there'll be something waiting for me. Will you ever do... I'm assuming you mean collabs with that, with other VAs on YouTube. I do work with others when I can. I've worked with Corey before. I'd like to work with others that I've spoken to before, with Carlos and Axel. you know, just you know, people who would be willing to help me. I mean, even in the Aliens comic, I worked with at least like 4 different VAs for that besides myself to put that all together, and that was a really fun experience to arrange all that, so I'd like to do more, yes. Thank you, Seal. Any predictions for Hell of a Boss next episode? I don't really know. The only thing I don't want them to do, I do not want to have them resolve what happened in the last episode in that one. It's too quick and it's too clean. I want them to be repercussions that will carry over to Season 2. How do you pick the comics you want to comic dub? I just look and see if there's good potential for adding sound to it in terms of movement or acting. And there's quite a lot of them. Yes, Corey. Although I will be finishing in like 60 seconds, so you're a bit late. It's about to hit midnight here, Mad, which is probably why I'm going to call it a day there shortly. Yeah, it's just gone midnight now. Right, well, I will leave it there for now. Once again, thank you to everyone who showed up just to chat for about 2 hours. Thank you for everyone who has already bought the rework EP. There's already been a ton that I've just got notifications for, so thank you so much. And I hope that you will continue to enjoy it in your own. Yeah, thanks for showing up. It was a lot of fun. I hope that you'll continue to follow me as I keep doing stuff going forward. And, yeah, as I always say, stay tuned and have a good night, everybody.